All right, welcome back. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. The EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting is coming up November 1st through 3rd in Austin, Texas. So today I wanted to continue to give you a chance to hear from the fantastic lineup of speakers that will really make this a must-attend conference. So you got to join us down there in Austin, Texas. If you haven't heard about it before, it's called the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting, and it is the business conference for entrepreneur architects. In fact, it's the first ever live conference that's dedicated just to you, just to small firm entrepreneur architects. I started this live stream series a little over a month ago, maybe going on 2 months ago now, to introduce to you all of the speakers. And now I'm bringing them all back to give you a little bit of a teaser about their talks. So, hi. If we've never met before, my name's Jeff. I'm the Vice President of Community Development at EntreArchitect. It's the largest worldwide community of entrepreneur architects. And I'm also the host of Context and Clarity Live. Speaking of Context and Clarity Live, to continue our series today, I'm joined by a two-time Context and Clarity alum. In fact, he was just on last week. So I think we're moving in together or something at this point. I'm not sure. He's
I better
he's also
tell my family.
yeah. Well, you can move in over here. I know.
Okay.
I know you're kind of working on some stuff there. He's also someone who I've followed for a long time and become friends with, and someone that I really respect in terms of their work and their everything that they do. So let me introduce to you Evan Troxel. Evan is the host of the podcast Troxel, that's TRXL, and co-host of the Archispeak podcast. He's also the architectural community director for the TECT app, that's TECT, and he fittingly will present a talk about disruptive technologies at the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting. So let's meet Evan. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here. As you said, it's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a minute. I think we hit end and then we just started it right back up. So here you are. It's fantastic. I know that some in the audience, whether they're live now or watching the replay later, were not able to catch either Context and Clarity last week or the last time that we did the Meet the Speaker series. So why don't you give us a quick recap of who you are, what you do, why you do it, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I'm an architect and I live in Southern California, and I've got 4 teenagers and a day job and 3 podcasts and other things that I like to do. So very busy and slightly disorganized, I think sometimes. But my passion is in the people behind the profession, behind the technology that I'm so interested in kind of exposing to the profession, because that passion exists for a reason. Whether you're on the old school architect side, the new school architect side, the technology or architect adjacent side, there's some amazing people there. So as the community director at TECT for the architecture community, my goal there is really to just listen to what architects really want. And we're trying to bridge the gap between design professionals and building product manufacturers, people to people. So I think we're all kind of overwhelmed with the amount of data sources that are out there, directories and repositories and all that stuff, with lots of places we could get information from. We think the shortest path for real wisdom is person to person. So that's what we do at TECT. And TECT is really attempting to shift the paradigm and create a new piece of infrastructure for the building industry that hasn't existed before. With all the digitization that's going on out there, there's a lot of important components that are already in place and just underutilized and underleveraged. So as a community director, talking to architects there, that's really my passion, is connecting people. That's also kind of my goal with the podcasts that I do, and the information, the long form conversations that we share on those. So Archispeak's been going on for about 10 years. We're in our 10th year. that's an ongoing conversation between Cormac Phelan, who's a East Coast architect, and myself. And audience ranges from students all the way to, the gray hair architects who are still slumped over the drafting board in their home studio. And the other podcast, Troxel, is really about the coevolution of architecture and technology, how they're kind of pushing and pulling and on each other, and watching how that unfolds, and really talking about the evolution of the profession and how technology is seriously shifting that, whether architects like it or not. And some do, and some definitely don't, right? So it's really about just kind of putting these amazing conversations, amazing people out into a larger audience to really continue those conversations, and just be aware of what's going on. Again, whether we like it or not, it's happening.
Yeah.
And then the last one is with TECT. We produce a show called the Peopleverse, and the Peopleverse is all about breaking down those barriers that I discussed earlier. And the idea there is to expose people from both sides to show what the value is in the people on both sides, which really reinforces our mission to connect those people. So I think that's probably more than enough to go off of, but that's where I'm coming from today.
So, I was thinking, you said four teenagers, three podcasts, and then I started wondering, wow, does he have some technology that gives him 26 or 27 hours a day?
Right.
Because I'm not sure how you fit all of that in
It's
there.
called automation, Jeff. Yeah. I
It's
automate as much of it as I can.
it's
Yes.
good. It's
Yeah.
good. You were talking about the fact that some architects are embracing technology, some are not. It scares them. And I was talking with our context and clarity team this morning with Mark R. LePage and Catherine McPhail, and Mark asked about my MArch Pro Practice class, because we do a project in there. They have to pitch a business idea in a sentence, and we were talking about technology. And I said that they're mid to late 20 somethings, and they have a degree. They're working on a master's degree, and not a single one of them is afraid of the technology.
Yeah.
And when I tell them something like what you just said, they they say, they wonder why. Why are some architects afraid of this technology? Of course, they're digital natives.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but they embrace the technology as, hey, this allows me to do this. This is a tool. This gives me more room to be creative. All of these types of things. So it's interesting to teach in that world. To have that juxtaposition of being in that world, and
Yeah.
then also obviously firmly rooted in the EntreArchitect community and the entrepreneur community, where the reality is exactly as you just described it. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's two things. This comes up a lot when you listen to what I say, but there's two things that architects hate, right? There's the way things are and change. And
yeah,
we are so stuck in the middle of that there's so many things that you just said. Sweet use of the word juxtaposition, a little arca speak there. But the idea that digital natives are coming, and they are a larger percentage of the profession than non-digital natives. The wave
yeah,
is here. The tides
yeah,
are turning. And to your point about, I don't know if scared is the right word. There is fear there. I do think that this is
yeah.
kind of an evolutionary, like, fear of different, not just that
Right,
it's
right.
tech, right? It's just different, whatever it is. So um, that is definitely a thing that when you say they don't even understand it, like, wait till
Mhm.
they get into a firm and have to deal with that, right? Like
Right.
that is a legitimate
Yeah,
argument every single day, is like, why
yeah,
do we have to constantly keep up with this technology? It's always changing. And then
yeah,
you get the digital natives who are like, well, of course it is. Like, my phone is updating every moment in my pocket, right? Like,
yeah,
and it's like they don't speak the same language, right? And so, as a Gen Xer in the middle
yep,
of the entitlement generations, let's just say that, like, I have to be the arbiter of communication and vocabulary and understand all sides, because there's legitimate arguments on all sides there.
Right.
And
Right.
how do we navigate that in a profession that has 5 or 6 generations operating in it at the same time?
Yeah.
Right. So
Fascinating time.
that is the landscape that we are dealing with, and it is hard for people to get a perspective that is not their own, and without having been in it for a while. So
Right.
have not worked together yet, right? Or they're just starting to, the youngest and the oldest generations, right? They haven't had to deal with each other. So as soon as they do, it's like, what the heck's going on here, right? And it's such a different point of view, such a
Yeah.
different perspective, such a different upbringing, such a different set of experiences. So there's this, we're trying to hang on for dear life and maintain, and then there's this other one who's like, burn it down, start over, right? So it is a very wide ranging landscape that we see in the profession of architecture.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely is. Jefferson has popped in via LinkedIn over there. Good morning, Jefferson. Glad you're joining us. Just a note for Jefferson and anybody else out there: it does not appear that our stream to Facebook is working at this moment. So if you know anybody that's over on Facebook saying, "Hey, where's this conversation with Evan happening?" Please just point them over to LinkedIn or YouTube. Probably the two easiest, most common places to find us. But glad to have you in the house. I've got two West Coasters with me here in the Midwest at this point. We're talking with Evan Troxel right now because Evan will be one of the speakers at the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting, the conference just for small firm entrepreneur architects. It's coming up. It's less than a month out at this point in Austin, Texas, November 1st through 3rd. And Evan has been here in this series about a month and a half ago, maybe, to kind of introduce himself. And today we're going to give a little bit of a teaser about what he's going to say in Austin. So you mentioned the fact, Evan, that there are two things that architects hate: that the way things are and change. Um, is that what you're going to talk about, or is that the sort of the preamble to your talk?
Yeah, there's definitely like some table setting that happens, right?
Yeah,
So that we understand the context of all of this as far as technology goes,
yeah,
because I am going to be talking about disruptive technology, and that alone could trigger somebody, right? That just that idea. And then there's
sure,
other ones
yeah,
who are like, heck yeah, let's do this, right? So um, there's you're going to get a range of emotion immediately, I think, in the room, depending on who you are and where you're coming from.
sure,
And really kind of just setting the table as far as the 5 generations, the demographics, where do we sit as an industry as far as digitization goes? Um, how do we approach problem solving now versus how we have before?
right,
And that's really where a lot of the technology comes in, which is like, there's a lot of inefficiencies. There's a lot of competition out there from adjacent industries within the industry itself, as far as technology adoption and what the benefits of that are versus not. And so, like, kind of just taking all that in, but really saying, like, this is here whether we like it or not, right? Like, this is happening, and there
right,
is a lot of pressure from people who buy architecture, right? People
mhm,
who pay for our services as architects for better ways to work, that's being driven by those owners, by those clients, right? And so, even if you're not going to adopt it, you need to be aware of it, and you need to be
right,
understanding of where the next generations or the mindsets. Let's not even, it's not really an age thing. It's more of a mindset thing than
right,
anything, but where are they coming from? And how is it changing the landscape of what we do? And what are we going to do about it? Because one of my big overarching questions is, what do we owe the future of this profession?
mm,
I'm an older, like I said, I'm a solidly Gen X. What am I doing to try to usher in the future of this profession? Because, like, I personally can't just idly sit and say, it's not my problem, I
right,
won't have to deal with this. Because if I did, I'm a parent. Like, I come at this from a perspective of being a parent. Like, I want my kids to know my experience so that they can elevate beyond that. And I want our profession to teach the younger generations or approach it in that way as well. Because if we don't, like, so do we not owe the future of this profession anything? Because maybe that there are definitely people who think like that. Like, it just, all that matters is me and my retirement and my projects, right? So I'm trying to kind of get beyond that and get us out of our silos and say, look, like, let's just talk, let's have these conversations. What do we owe the future? Does the profession deserve to exist? And if so, in what way? And does that mean it needs to exist exactly as it always has been or is right now? I don't think the answer is yes, because I don't think it will if
Right.
that's the case. So, um, you know, as far as the talk goes, there is some table setting up front to just say, like, look, here's the situation. Here's what's actually happening, and what are we going to do about it? And then there's definitely I have some answers. Like, I do have a twist in the story. I'm not going to give it away today, but it
Thank you.
has a lot to do with what I do personally, not to like, I'm not trying to brag or pat myself on the back there, but I think it's the most immediate path to addressing the issues that we have right now with what we have right now, and not having to think about adopting all that new stuff.
Right.
Because there's a huge gap between innovation and adoption,
Right.
especially in the profession. So how do we start to close that gap? And I do have some meaty stuff to talk about there. Yeah.
There's your cliffhanger.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. No, I think this is a really important talk, and we were talking before we went live about students and academia, um, I love the fact that going all the way back to talking about your podcast, the Archispeak, which is a good reminder for all the students out there. It's Archispeak is all about what it's like to work in the profession.
Yep.
And over
Yeah.
10 years, that conversation has evolved a little bit.
Right.
The voices in the conversation have evolved slightly as well, but
Totally. I actually had somebody say, I started back at episode 1. This was just like a few years ago, right? And they said, I started and I listened, and he's like, you've changed your mind on some stuff. And I'm like, how could I not? It was funny because it was like coming from a place of, like, you've always known everything. I guess it's impossible, right? So as we evolve, so do our ideas and our commentary and our thoughts on those things. So I thought that was just kind of a funny story that came out of somebody who did kind of take in the whole catalog.
yeah, that's a good lesson for, I think, for where we are in time, right? There are a lot of people, myself included, creating a lot of content, and when you listen to episode 78, that's a snapshot in time.
Yes,
And then
exactly.
when you listen to episode 136, that's a snapshot in time. And a lot has changed between 78 and 136. So
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
good. Got Barry Reed joining us from Scotland. Daniel Stewart. Hi to both of you. Barry says, interesting points for discussion. I'll catch up with you guys when you do the EntreArchitect Scottish tour. All
Sign
right,
me
I'm
up.
in.
Sign me up.
I'm
Never
in.
been.
Let's go.
I would love to go. Yeah.
All right. Everybody get on the bus. We're headed to Scotland.
As long as it transitions to air or sea travel at some point, I'll be good.
Yeah. I think we're going
Not the
to
bus.
do a transporter room type thing.
Mm.
That's good. It's great to have all of you there in the audience again, whether live or in the future. And again, apologies. Our stream to Facebook is not working at this point, so we'll have to work on that tech here coming up. But we're talking with Evan Troxel right now because in a few short weeks, he's going to be one of the speakers at the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting, November 1st through 3rd in Austin, Texas. We've gotten a little bit of a preview of what he's going to talk about. There's a cliffhanger. He's building the suspense. He's not giving it all away. So you've got to join us in Austin to hear the whole story, to get the plot twist and get the punchline and everything else. If you want to know more, if you need to know more about it, go to smallfirmconference.com. There you can find out all about the speakers. You can find out about the venue. You can register from that page as well. And I think it's important to point out, and I know I failed to do this in several of these conversations, but when you go to the conference, you do not have to decide, do I want to go listen to Evan talk or do I want to go hear Elaine talk at the same time? It's a single track. Everybody gets to immerse themselves in each of the speakers and each of the activities and each of the talks. And then we wrap that one up and we go have tacos or whatever it is. And then we move on to the next activity. So I really love the way the conference is designed and laid out. There, you don't have to sacrifice one talk or one speaker for another. You get the benefit of all of it, and we get to spend a few days together, really learning how to build a strong business and practice in our own way. So, smallfirmconference.com is the place to go for more information. Evan, I really think that, especially in a single track conference like this, I think it's important for people to really be intentional about showing up for Evan's talk and showing up. Yesterday, I talked with Evelyn Lee. She and Janine Chastain, the co-hosts of Practice Disruptive. They'll have a talk as well. So I think it's important for people to be intentional about showing up for their talk. So one question I like to ask everybody is, what's something that I can do to prepare myself, whether it's a mindset thing or just, whatever it is, prepare myself to be intentional, to immerse myself in what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, if I had to pick one thing to set an intention around for this talk would be that I would love it if you could get out of your own silo for this talk and really think about it as working on the profession
Yep.
rather than working in the practice, because it does take a community of professionals to move the profession forward. And if we're always just concerned about what's in this talk for me, what's in this talk for my business today, for my bottom line, I think we're going to miss the forest for the trees here. Because there aren't enough of us working on the profession as though compared to the numbers of the people who are just thinking about it. And I get it. Like that's your daily bread. You've got to make that machine work. I'm hoping that for this hour that we'll be able to look beyond that and really come together. And I think a lot of people, when they think about emerging or disruptive technologies in architecture, it's like, okay, I'm going to see eye candy. I'm going to see things that are really cool, but they don't really apply to me because I'm not on the bleeding edge. I'm not on the cutting edge. I'm not even anywhere near the edge, right? It depends who you are. But that's not the point. The point is to say, like, look, this stuff is happening no matter what. It is pushing the evolution of our profession. What can we get excited about here? And how can we leverage it together to understand that it isn't just about me, that we are at some level in this together? So
Yep.
set your intention to just have a wide perspective beyond yourself, your small firm, your business, your group of people that you commonly talk about business strategy with. And let's think about this as a bigger thing than just we can be ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that I'm thinking about all the time, especially with the students in my class, many of them are doing technology related projects. And I want to know, what is this project? What is this technology that you're talking about? What is that going to do to increase the value of an architect? From that,
Yeah.
from the 30,000-foot level.
Mhm.
Maybe it makes your firm more competitive, et cetera, but what is it going to do to show the public, to show clients, prospective clients, hey, there's more. There's more here in this equation. There's more that architects can do. There's more value that architects bring to the table than I thought that they did. Um, or something new,
Yeah.
it's new value, something like that. So
Yeah.
I love that. I love what you're saying there. Um, So there you have it.
There it
Evan
is.
Troxel. He is an architect. He's a technologist. He's a podcast host. He's the architectural community director at TECT, TECT, the TECT app, at the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting in Austin, Texas, November 1st through 3rd. He'll deliver a talk titled Disruptive Technologies in Architecture. And you, if you're an architect who wants to learn to build a business that allows you to practice in your own way, or maybe you're the employee of a firm and you'd like to bring this information back to your firm, or you aspire to start a practice or build a practice and do it your own way, go over to smallfirmconference.com for more information about the conference. The URL is in the bottom left of your screen right now, smallfirmconference.com. Again, it's the first ever live conference that's dedicated just to you, just to the small firm entrepreneur architect. Check it out. I promise that you won't be disappointed. If nothing else, you get to meet Evan Troxel. Maybe he'll even sign an autograph for you.
I might have some ArchiSpeak stickers or something.
Awesome.
some merch.
Some merch. I can't quite reach it, but I've got a TECT sticker over here too.
Nice.
Evan, thanks a lot. I always appreciate these conversations, appreciate you coming on, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again in
Yeah,
Austin, Texas in just a few
likewise.
weeks. Yeah,
Appreciate it,
absolutely.
Jeff. This has been fun. And just kind of talking about the high level stuff here. I'm so excited to deliver the information and have a conversation. Like, this is
Yeah.
not by any means a one-way thing. This is definitely deliberately designed to inspire and provoke conversation. I think a lot of times this kind of stuff does leave people a little bit speechless, but
Yeah.
let's let the gears turn and let it marinate a little bit and continue these conversations, because they're important to the future of the profession.
Yeah. I love that. And that's a great point too, in relation to the structure of this, or the format of this conference. It will be an intimate setting, and so there'll be plenty of opportunity for actual conversations. It's not like a lot of big conferences where, hey, here's somebody up on stage and I'll never be able to connect with that person. Like I said earlier, we're gonna be immersed in this together, and so I too am looking forward to lots of fantastic conversations happening um, over the 3 days or 2.5 days of this conference. So join us in Austin. Smallfirmconference.com is where you find more information. Thanks for joining us here live. Thanks for watching this in the future as you watch the recording, and hope that we'll see you soon in Austin, Texas. Thanks, Evan.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jefferson,
Right.
Daniel, Barry. Thank all of you. Have a great day, great evening. Barry, have a great, great evening, or afternoon, I guess, still at this point for you over in Scotland. But everybody, take care of yourselves, please. Be well, stay safe. We'll see you later. We'll probably have more of these talks lined up for next week. So check your calendars. We'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody.